It's John Pollock and Wai Ting coming at you one more night from Orlando, Florida. We are in the parking lot of Camping... What is it? Camping World Stadium?
Camping World Stadium.
I don't know what it is, Wai, because it was never called that at any point in time on the broadcast, in the promotion of this event. It was the Citrus Bowl through and through. And the more that I've noticed this, the more I need to find out more about this.
My guess is just that Camping World Stadium sounds really cheap.
Well, you know what? What isn't cheap are what naming rights on stadiums go for. And
it's true.
I cannot understand how... Like, it's obvious. It is not just... It's a definite, directive on their part to not name this. And I'm just curious what it is.
Even, Renee on the kickoff, when the announcers throw... They'll say the Citrus Bowl. So I'm sure, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's some rights.
It would be like calling the Sky Dome that now.
Yeah.
Instead of the Rogers Center. And Rogers would not be happy with that.
Yeah, I wish they would do that. But the Camping Grounds Stadium.
Camping World Stadium.
Sorry, Camping World Stadium. Actually contains a campground. You can. I'm pretty sure this is what it is. I think you can camp here. There's a baseball diamond. Grass, sand, stuff, all the things you need.
Well, I just spent 9 hours camping inside of that stadium.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time here. Yes, we did.
We just finished WrestleMania 33. We're not going to go through match by match. We're going to give some of our thoughts because the way it turned out got to be kind of interesting because I stayed in the press box and Wai went out into the actual stadium, so we were not together at all during this show. We decided afterwards that we weren't even going to talk about the show to one another, and I'm curious the perspective Wai has as compared to myself.
If you want a match-by-match breakdown, move for move, check out The Law and check out Dan and Jay's review of that. But yeah, this is more of just kind of our perspectives from a live
And let's be honest, we're doing this because we are in the midst of getting out of this stadium and the parking, and we imagine we will be in traffic for hours. And maybe we'll be lucky.
Yeah.
Like we were at Ring of Honor.
Yeah, maybe.
Getting here, Wai, was one of the most stressful times in a car that I have ever endured.
It was quite rough. And I think you guys have already heard us talk about the awful traffic situation out here in Orlando. And, we were already kind of bracing ourselves for the worst, but it was even worse than that. And I saw you in a state, John, that I think I would have only been rivaled by the performance of Pitbull in Flo Rida tonight.
Oh, wow. Well, I was definitely angry driving because we had to get to Lot E. That is where we had the media parking area. So we are just crawling around the perimeter of this stadium. And we get to Lot D, and we pass by that, get to Lot E. E is no longer an entrance. The woman tells us, you have to go back after what we have crawled through and go back to the old lot, which is D, that was not labeled as such, that we had to go to.
Yeah, and even at several miles out, traffic was at a slow everywhere surrounding the stadium,
Everyone was inching.
Oh, yeah.
And then we spent all this time getting to Lot E, and we have to go retrace our 20 minutes here. And then I'm just trying to do a U-turn. I've got these guys running in front of our cars, yelling if we want parking. They're all vying for each other to sell their parking spots, and I'm just losing it.
We're sweaty. We're starving, because today was also, of course, our live podcast, and we want to thank all of you who showed up to that. Those of you who weren't, you will get to hear it on Friday. But anyway, this came, we didn't eat, we didn't have time to shower.
The worst. It was the worst in this driving condition, and somehow we caught a break by turning into that one corner, and this woman was nice enough to let us in, and we just crossed into the media section, parked, got in.
So we got in.
Yeah, we arrived at the press area. I found where my station was, and let's just say I had to make some alterations and figure out how I was going to pull this off. Oh boy. Oh, we just nearly missed our turn, but we're all good.
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah, so, for those of you wondering about the press room situation, this was, unfortunately kind of like some of the other press rooms in the past where we were encased in glass.
Yes.
And therefore didn't get a chance to really be able to hear the crowd.
Yeah, it's a real hindrance, and I look back at all, like, which ones have been open that we have gone to? Miami?
New Orleans.
New Orleans was?
Yeah.
I was trying to remember tonight.
Miami was as well.
Miami definitely was.
Yeah.
It makes such a difference.
Well, the thing is, like, I can see when you're watching football, when you're covering, like, a football game, the crowd reaction doesn't matter so much. But for professional wrestling, the crowd reaction is really all that matters. So.
Do you have coins?
We're at a toll booth.
Because I have no coins.
I don't know.
And it's exact coins.
Fuck, toll booths. What's going to happen if we just don't pay?
It's a rental car. I'm not too worried.
I have Canadian coins. I have a Canadian toonie. Like, I'm not... Seriously?
Like, why are these not manned? Like, it's either an easy pass or exact coins.
The shit's not even going in. Okay, I'm committing a international crime right now.
No one cares.
Not paying this 75 cent toll.
We got a review to do. So anyway, yeah. So this was an enclosed media area with the glass and
like, I mean, what's the point of coming here if not to kind of be able to gauge the crowd, right? So John ended up simply like... You ended up just watching the show on the network.
Well, listen, my setup, I'm no one special. I'm not expecting any kind of... I have no expectation here other than when I put down that I have to do live coverage, I think I should have a desk area. It's all these rows of desks, and then we were put on these chairs in the back row. Just chairs. No power outlet. It's like, what can I do here? So I end up going behind everyone, behind this wall. And the first hour of WrestleMania, I just watched with my headphones on.
I took a photo of you. It was
Did you?
It was the saddest thing. It was so sad. Here's like, everybody sitting out front, and then here's John behind the wall, staring at his computer with WrestleMania going on, meters
I'm sitting here, I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, why did I come here to sit in a wall? I'm not even looking at the arena. I'm not looking at anything. I'm doing my play-by-play, which it was fine. Listen, the internet connection was fine, and I was just going to watch it. But, like, I don't need to be at this stadium to watch this on the network. And I want to give a special thank you to James Ladd and Jackie Redmond of Sportsnet 360, who they were going down into the actual stadium area. They wanted to watch a bunch of the matches, and they gave up their spots right at the front so that I could do all my coverage stuff. So a big thank you to James and Jackie for that.
Yeah, and as for myself, like, I really couldn't take it, so I snuck out and I just went down myself.
Like, wait, I'm not kidding. I contemplated, like, do you want to just go back home and watch this? Like,
yeah, I did too.
If I can't even do coverage of this, like, what am I doing sitting here? It's useless.
We're just buying ourselves a 2-hour wait time to get out of the building, essentially. But anyway, in the end, it worked out. It worked out fine.
It did work out.
But
got to do my coverage on the site.
I mean, I would seriously consider just simply watching at home next year, if we're to do this stuff again.
Yeah, New Orleans is going to have to do some real convincing on my behalf. We got to see the show, though. So, at what point did you head out? First of all, did you have any impressions of just the stadium itself? I mean, this set was incredible. One of the best WrestleMania sets, maybe the best.
It might be my favorite because, like, I saw it up close and I saw like the pictures beforehand, and it looked impressive, certainly. But to see it in production, to see their camera moves along that ramp, that big beautiful ramp, like I had chills just watching that stuff, and to me that's a major part of the draw of WrestleMania, is to see what production elements these guys will come up with, because they really are the best. Like, on some level, I feel like they're almost even better than the Olympics, because there have been some shitty Olympic opening ceremonies, and WrestleMania is certainly at that level. And tonight, They basically had a giant ramp leading up to an elevated stage.
This
in the
ramp,
past,
oh my god.
Yeah, in the past, like, you know, the stages would kind of be a little bit flatter. This was elevated all the way up into the upper bowl, and then a ramp that led directly all the way from there down. It was very ambitious, and the whole thing lit up, and I thought it was gorgeous. It was beautiful.
And you also have to remember the fact that they invest in these sets. And, I mean, this year, some years this is not the case, but this year, WrestleMania was a pretty in-demand ticket to get. Prices were very, very high for WrestleMania, and that set killed off so much seating. Like, they could go with a bare-bones set and make a ton more off of ticket sales. This was one of those years where they could have gone with a lot more of just a basic, a professional, nice-looking WWE set, and they went way above what I think you would anticipate.
Yeah.
And a lot of outlets or promotions in that same boat probably wouldn't be killing off so many seats for a set like that.
Yeah. I mean, and it wasn't just a set, too. I mean, the amount of fireworks that were exploded tonight, I worry about the ozone layer around here in
if I lived here,
Orlando.
I'd be really worried. So,
but they definitely spared no expense when it came to production. And you know what? Like, this was such a successful weekend for non-WWE professional wrestling. All the indie shows that are out there delivering great quality wrestling. I mean, where the WWE obviously is that no indie wrestling or even number 2 rival promotion could ever touch are things like this, where they are just incredible to see it, especially in person. So I can't say enough great things about the production.
It's one of the things where, you watch a show like that, and you even watch a Monday Night Raw. Like a Monday Night Raw, like that is a really elaborate production every week.
Yeah.
Like that's a high 6-figure budget that they put into Raw every week. And at Ring of Honor on Saturday night, I had never seen this at a Ring of Honor show, so I imagine it was new for this show. The guys would come out and they had like the almost like sparkler pyro things.
Yep.
Did you notice that coming from the ground? And like for Ring of Honor, I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. But if you're watching like the WWE product, it almost is like, unless you have something incredible, that almost makes you look low rent.
Completely. And like, I think everybody listening to the show, like we have a greater appreciation for what's actually in ring. But like, absolutely, if I'm just somebody channel surfing and I'm going from the WWE on one channel to Ring of Honor, a lot of people will just simply dismiss it. So I'm with you, man. Like, you should just go bare bones. Don't do even any of that shit. And, do just focus on the wrestling, emphasize the wrestling. But it's tough.
Can I just acknowledge, Wai, that for the last 4 hours of WrestleMania, I was dreading us getting out of there. And dude, we are on the highway.
Yeah.
We are out of traffic.
Yeah, wow.
Instantly. I am sticking around was a very smart call. What we did.
This might be a short podcast.
It could be. So anyway, let's chat a bit about. We won't necessarily go in order because I am not picking up my phone at this point to look at anything.
We can just kind of give some general thoughts though, starting with like the first match.
Yeah, Neville and Austin Aries. I feel after WrestleMania, so much happened that match is going to be forgotten. I love that match. I thought that was one of the best matches on the entire card. I thought both guys were tremendous, and I think it was the best cruiserweight match since the CWC.
In terms of in-ring, I think it might have been the best technical match on the card. This was one of the matches I watched inside, so I couldn't really gauge the crowd reaction all that well. But just watching it, I thought both men did tremendously. And Austin Aries, from what I could tell, received a tremendous reaction. And keep in mind, this is a guy who's only debuted in ring on Raw like less than a month ago. And for him to kind of already have this reaction, I guess tells me that there are a lot of people in attendance tonight that are familiar with him from his non-WWE past.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed this match. It was just great. We also had the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, which, I mean, everybody expected Braun Strowman, and it seemed like this was completely booked because of Rob Gronkowski willing to do something, and do something physical, which, I mean, NFL contracts typically prohibit any kind of physicality like that. So I was kind of surprised that he got as involved as he did.
Yeah, so...
and Mojo wins.
Does he play for, like, a Florida team or
Patriots,
something?
dude.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Well, that shows you how well...
but he's got the connection with Mojo Rawley. I mean,
yeah. Did they play together or something?
They were good friends together. I don't know their football past.
Okay, well...
And I'm not asking for...
It was a great spot. Really got over. So I thought it was, it was certainly warranted. It was, I think, the best thing you could have done. The crowd really wanted Zayn to win, though. When they saw that Braun Strowman wasn't winning, I think Strowman winning would have been the predictable thing that I don't think really would have benefited anybody. But Sami Zayn winning would have done a lot. So I think he was certainly the crowd favorite once Strowman was gone.
I just felt it was... Everyone the audience, everyone was expecting Braun, and I think they had a sentimental favorite in the Big Show. The Big Show was out, and you could sense a disappointment. Then Braun was out, and I think it was disappointment and shock. And then it was just like...
I think but that also came with hope that they were going to make Sami Zayn win.
Yeah, somewhat.
Because he was the only other guy that was focused on. And in fact, the betting odds had Zayn as a favorite.
Oh, really?
Over Strowman. Yeah.
See, I didn't look at any odds, but then it was just like, who was it that eliminated him? Titus?
Something like that. Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look.
Very inconsequential.
But it's like Luke Harper was just thrown into this for no reason and then just eliminated, and it just seemed like it was...
they're just for paydays, and I don't think they're going to turn into any type of storyline coming out of it.
Mojo Rawley wins, and I guess this was their hope of getting some highlights on ESPN. I mean,
you know what? It turned out well. I think it got a good reaction.
And it was Jinder Mahal that they paired as kind of the foil for Gronkowski.
That actually quite surprised me, was the amount that they gave Jinder of all the capable heels they could have had. I thought Jinder did well too, so he had his big WrestleMania ESPN moment.
And then the other kickoff match, the one that Wai was adamant should be on the kickoff, the WWE listened and they flipped things. The SmackDown women were on the main show, and Dean Ambrose and Baron Corbin were put on the pre-show. Wai, I said that this one maybe has the potential to be a sleeper match, two guys that are really hungry to go out there and have a great match. I don't think they did.
Oh, it was a sleeper, all right.
It was a sleeper. I would call this average at best.
Yeah, and it wasn't awful.
No one was thinking of this match after WrestleMania was over. 2 disappointing years in a row for Dean Ambrose at WrestleMania. And you know what? You did an awful thing to me, because now I'm always going to compare this guy. When we were watching TakeOver on Saturday night, and we're watching Andrade Cien Almas and Aleister Black, the former Tommy End, and Wai just looks at me and was just saying, this guy would be so great in Baron Corbin's role. And he would be. You could put him on SmackDown tomorrow, and he would be so further advanced than Baron Corbin is now.
Oh, yeah.
And I did not get into this match. The highlight was, first of all, Baron Corbin messed up a deep 6 and then just went right back to it. And then at the end, he was going for the end of days, and Ambrose flipped over, landing on his feet, and hit the dirty deeds. And, I mean, these guys had a pre-show match.
I can't say it was a bad match. It was totally sound and totally fun. In fact, it would be...
It wasn't the worst match on this card.
It would be a very good SmackDown main event, I think. But... for a WrestleMania match, when you have so many things, I'm not even just talking in-ring, I'm talking about, like, levels of interest, items of interest for every particular match. Even the tag match had ladders. Even the girls had Naomi. But, like, this match just had nothing. The consequences were meaningless, the build was bad.
And even the guy that I think should have won didn't.
Yeah. So, anyway. But as a pre-show match, I think it was... acceptable. You had Dean Ambrose, who's a big name. You can promote that it's a title match on USA TV. I thought it was perfectly suitable for a kickoff match.
Poor Neville and Austin Aries got bumped from the US. They didn't get to be on the USA Network. They did not go out with the mentality of having a pre-show match. As Austin Aries said on 205 Live, we're going out there because we believe we are the main event. And damn, they had a great match.
Yeah.
On to the main show. We had this wild opening video where you were on a roller coaster and just going through all the guys and all the different programs. And I thought it was a cool video.
I thought so too.
Yeah. The New Day started off the show with like a nothing promo. And then
their involvement was very minimal on this show.
A lot less than you would have thought. We had 3 appearances by the New Day, and they were all quick.
Yep. And you know what? Like, I have no complaints. I thought they came out, did their big promo, and no backstage vignettes of any kind on this show.
Not one.
Which is a positive, especially...
Well, this show was rammed with stuff. It was just rammed. They could not have fit more stuff in.
Yep.
Opening match, I won't say shocking, because, as we said, there were a lot of big matches on this card, and you do have to pace them. AJ Styles and Shane McMahon were first. I'm going to say this. Shane worked his ass off in this match. His offense is just something that you either love this guy or you just can't get over that. And I am just someone that I really can't get over this. And now he is a jiu-jitsu wizard, Wai.
I missed a good chunk of this match because I was making my way towards the outside. Because this was actually, like I said, the match that I really had the most interest in, because it could have either been terrible or it could have either been really surprising.
This was not terrible.
No, far from it. From what I did see of Shane striking, I feel like he wasn't as wild. I'm sure he's had plenty of talking to from Phil Nurse.
Oh, he had some moments in there with those punches. I mean,
you know,
they looked snug, as Ricky Steamboat
right. Well, from what I did see, like walking into the crowd was so hot for this. And the crowd loves Shane. Well, I mean, they love AJ, that's for sure. And Shane, though, like...
Shane got a lot of boos, like, from where I, like, watching on the broadcast. And it was Shane that they were all behind.
Maybe that's the case, but, like, man, like, I will say, like... I can't complain that this guy is at WrestleMania, because, like, his matches do feel like spectacles, and they do gather a lot of interest, you know, a lot of special interest that, you know, I would say certainly more than Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, maybe even more than Seth Rollins, Triple H.
Wait, you might have to do a couple circles of the block once we get to that match. You know what? By Shane's standards, I was glad he didn't do the crazy stunt.
Yeah.
He did another elbow through the desk, but missed AJ this time, and he did a shooting star press and missed.
And you know what? The crowd was satisfied. Like,
they were fine with this.
I was standing amongst the crowd of, like, the broest bros you could imagine, who just want to see, like, Shane dive off of shit. And they freaked the fuck out when the guy did a shooting star press, because that was enough of a spectacle for them that left them satisfied. So I was really glad that, like, Shane didn't have to, like, really seriously risk injury in order to get that level of reaction that was perfectly suitable for a kickoff, an opening match.
And let's, you know, this is a guy that I will never say doesn't take these things seriously. He trains his ass off for these. I mean, he went 20 minutes with AJ, which is no easy feat. And listen, I will totally give him his credit there. He worked really hard in this match. He is never going to be a polished worker. He just never will be. He will always look clunky. He will never be super smooth, but he tried a lot, and I didn't think he embarrassed himself here.
No, they book him well, and of the things he's tasked to do, he does well. Like, he always executes that coast-to-coast thing. He nails that elbow drop pretty perfectly every time. And here was called upon to do a shooting star press at WrestleMania. Did it better than Brock Lesnar.
AJ went for a springboard 450 and was caught with a triangle with Shane off his back.
Yeah.
I'm sure Henzo tried that one on him.
But, I mean, that actually, to me, was one of the highlights of this show. And I didn't think I would be saying that about a Shane McMahon AJ Styles match heading into it. But, yeah, the heat was there. You know, it was a good match.
Yeah, it was a very long opener, 20 minutes or so. And then Jericho and Owens had to follow this. And it was a weird placement for a match that was just, I mean, it was promoted so hard. This was probably the second best build of any Mania program, and they had to follow this, and I think they had a little trouble during the first half of the match getting the crowd, but they did get them. And they had some really unique stuff in this match, just counters such as Jericho catching a cannonball and then applying the walls of Jericho. They both were, Owens was going for the walls at one point. He turned a Hurricane Rana by Jericho into the walls, and ended with Owens winning the match and wins the U.S. title as well, and we'll see if they rematch this at Payback or do something over the next month between these two. I thought this was really good. I think they were in a tough spot following the opener that a lot of people were hot for.
Yeah.
What would you do?
I thought a fine match, but I left maybe feeling a little bit disappointed because I didn't feel like it was necessarily on the level of some of the great stuff they did in the build. But I also feel like over the past couple weeks, the feud has kind of cooled off. You know, I feel like they certainly peaked maybe 2 weeks ago, and then coming into WrestleMania week, I feel like a lot of the talk wasn't necessarily about this match, despite how great they've been throughout the course of the past several months. I feel like the heat certainly died down by the time this match actually took place.
So after that, we went to
what was it? What was after that? Was it the Raw Women's match?
It was the Raw Women's match. You're right. With Bayley defending against Nia Jax, Charlotte, and Sasha Banks, and Sasha got a pretty big entrance.
Dude, they all got big entrances. Maybe save Nia, but man, like, Bayley had like her inflatable people and like multiple of them, and they were just all so colorful. Sasha had this like motorcycle, and then Charlotte had like big, you know, straight up grand fireworks entrance. Like, shit, like seeing those were to me like the highlights of the match, you know, like they and I'm not even saying that like to diss the wrestling. I'm just saying that's how good these entrances were.
This to me, it completely summed up everything that I have had an issue with, and it was no fault of the women involved. They have been dealt some awful hands. So this women's match, to me, it was representative of all the things that I think I've been critical about with this build-up, is that I don't think it's any slight on the women, but it's been what they've been throwing or what's been taken away from them. And in this match, the latest was this, the addition of a fourth body in an elimination match. And I don't think the elimination stip helped them at all. They got 12 minutes, and I just didn't feel that. I think that people still, they do have high expectations when these women are involved, in particular the original three before Nia was involved in this. And when you take out the streak, when you take out the first title win for Bayley, there was very little to sink your teeth into with this match other than the women going out there and having a good match. And it was good, but it was rushed to me.
Yeah, I don't think it was one of the more memorable performances from this group of women. Certainly not on par with a lot of their more memorable NXT matches. I don't think it was as good as their match last year. So, you know, but I feel like it was more designed to just kind of craft that big moment for Bayley to kind of really cement her status in the main event. And yeah, you know, I think, say what you will, maybe the reaction probably would have been a lot bigger had this been her first one, had Charlotte not lost her streak in the pay-per-view prior. But I will say they managed in the span of, you know, however many months to make Bayley into like a legitimate star. She really felt like it. There are a lot of girls all around town, like little girls.
It was good that she won. And I also want to say Charlotte's corkscrew to the floor was fantastic.
Yeah, very nice.
That was a really impressive looking.
A lot of I'm a Hugger shirts. Like Bayley's over. And, you know, maybe it didn't take...
I should have bought one of those shirts after this one.
Oh, my God. I think they should make one for you.
We're not going to continue to just go through all of the matches here, but I want to like isolate first some of the highlights of the show. Like, as you're thinking now of WrestleMania, what are the images or matches moments that come to mind?
Okay, well, I mean, I'll certainly say the highlight of the show for me was the Hardys' debut, because I mean, that was, I don't know how much you had heard before, John, but for me, I didn't know. I mean, I thought that there was maybe a chance, but I more likely thought that they were going to debut on Monday. But, you know, when they came out with the tease and then New Day, I actually thought the New Day were going to inject themselves in, but the crowd was already buying into it, chanting delete before they even announced it. And then when they delivered, this stadium exploded.
I wish I went outside for that, because I don't think I fully got the reaction just watching it.
It was insane. Like, it was, to me, by far the biggest pop of the night, and like, what a reaction. And it made this really bullshit, boring, raw tag team match with that where they didn't even announce the stipulation until .com that was supposed to be on a kickoff, or maybe we thought was going to be on a kickoff, into perhaps the most memorable moment in the whole evening.
Their return was one of the biggest things. I think this WrestleMania is, a lot of people will remember it for The Undertaker and the Hardys.
Man.
In terms of Seth Rollins and Triple H, how did you feel about this match? Because I quite enjoyed this match, and I think, I don't know how many maybe agree with me. It was a very long match that was into a very deep show.
Yeah.
They went 25 minutes. I think it was the longest match on the card.
I'm kind of curious how this came across with commentary. Because I feel like it might be a match that probably does better with commentary. For me, like watching it out there live, I know that the guy is supposed to be selling a knee injury. I thought it wasn't maybe consistent enough because he was doing a bunch of crazy shit with it. It also didn't... I don't think the crowd ever bought into the knee injury because he was doing so much, you know? So I don't think there was all that much drama involved, and it was kind of a slower, again, Triple H type of match and they had to follow the Hardys, which was actually, you know, a rather tough thing.
Yeah, I like the knee story. I love that they used the spot where he injured himself against Kane doing the sunset flip powerbomb and the knee gave out.
See, that's a great subtlety that I don't think is really
That's probably lost
apparent.
if you don't have the commentary or missed it. To me, that was just great attention to detail in the match, and just the little things Hunter did with the knee. And that is tough when you're working a body part, and a lot of it is those subtleties. That's great in an arena setting, and you work a different match in a stadium. Like, there are different ways that you work, and that sometimes it is difficult.
When you're watching from a stadium and the people are like basically tiny specks, I think the biggest reactions are obviously the big spots where, like, with big heavy impacts, and maybe that was part of the problem.
We have to talk about Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. This was a match that it followed the Flow Rider Pitbull little concert, and
which wasn't. I didn't think it was that bad. Okay. Like, we knew what we were expecting. They did the songs. They got the fuck out.
I just hate that song. I can't even say the word anymore. The name of that song.
You might get it one more time on Raw tomorrow.
Every break coming back. They always have the stills from the night before. You will hear that all night Monday and maybe Tuesday as well. We will have plenty more of Flow Rider over the next 48 hours. But I hated this. I thought the idea of the darkness and then the maggots appearing, I don't know. Who thought of that?
How did they explain it on commentary? What did they exactly say?
They were just as confused as everyone else, and JBL had to cover for the crowd by stating they're in shock. They don't know what's happening here. And they didn't have much to say either. It was like...
So, like, no mention of, like, it's the soul of Sister Abigail trying to... I don't know, shock Randy.
I didn't hear anything that really registered with me of anything that wavered anyone. I sensed the crowd was really taken out of this. I thought for such a... Like, this, at the end of the day, this is a WWE title match. Yeah. And I think that people have endured, I think, more than they've wanted to with some of the wild ideas. And here at WrestleMania, you had one of the wildest ideas possible, and this to me just totally was flat for me, and I thought this was a really bad match.
Watching it, in the stadium, I didn't get the sense that it was, the crowd certainly didn't pick up back to the level they were at for that tag team match with the Hardys. It was one of the more flatter matches of the night, but I'll say, and I said this on the Law, those brief visuals with the weird things, they kind of jolted the audience back into paying attention, so I can't say that they were complete negatives. Now, the only thing is just that at the end of it all, you would hope that it would ultimately result in something bigger, something that even, culminated in the finish, but it didn't. They were just kind of little...
There was a title change here. I didn't even process until we're talking now that, Bray lost the title. It was just such a... I don't know. I thought it was a big negative on the show. I thought it was by far the worst thing on the show. But, I mean, maybe some people got into it, but to me, it just sounded like everyone in the press box, it was just deflated of this match. It just seemed... Everyone was taken out of it.
It's been a strange... very, I'll say, ambitious type of build that they've had for this match. And, you know, by the end of it, maybe, what would you grade it? If you had to give Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt a letter.
This feud very well may continue between these two, but if this being WrestleMania, this was a WrestleMania program, this brings it down significantly for me.
I'll give it a C.
A C was what I was going to say, so we're on the same page. We knew it was likely to come. How did the Cena proposal live up to expectation, Wai?
I thought he would at least, like, swerve us a little bit, but this was a pretty straight-up proposal. No, before we even get to that, what a shit match.
I know.
I thought this match sucked, and I guess, like, The Miz was trying to, like, he was getting cheered, as I predicted.
No one cared about this match, and it was, especially for Cena, like, this, for a big Cena match, like, this was just terrible.
We knew the challenge of the whole program wouldn't be the match itself, and, you know, but they kept the girls out of it for pretty much a long time. But I think I was just disappointed in The Miz, and I understand you're a heel, you don't necessarily want the cheers.
They were the opponents. They were the background players to Cena and Nikki, and...
Yeah, but, like, ultimately, though, like, I thought Miz doing all his, like, playing to the crowd... I think he was trying to get the crowd to boo him. It wasn't necessarily working. And ultimately, it just resulted in a pretty boring match.
Yeah, it's not like when I say bad match, like they were missing stuff. It was just...
boring.
It was booked to be nothing. It was 9 minutes of nothing. Like, this was the excuse to get to the proposal. We had to do a match. We had to present John Cena and Nikki Bella in a wrestling environment.
So, but the match, obviously, the highlight, the only thing worth talking about is the proposal. And so right after the match, Cena just picks up the mic, gets it, and this audience knew what was about to come immediately. They were booing.
Whoa,
they
really?
were like, no, don't do it. No, don't do it. And he went ahead and did it. By the time he gave his big speech, I think, you know, certain people were turned around. They knew they couldn't stop it. And I think a lot of people, you know, in particular, maybe a lot of the female demographic, a lot of the John Cena demographic, and I'll say for myself, you know, this is a man who is delivering a very genuine, having a very genuine moment with the person. Nikki Bella, I'm sure she knew it was coming, obviously, but she still seemed really, obviously appreciative, but like she seemed like she was living a dream moment. And, you know, to be able to see that in any context, much less a WrestleMania, I think makes for a great memory, you know, for everybody who's attended this thing. And I would certainly say it was satisfying on that end.
Yes, in a company that is very much, who once said that, I can't remember the line right now. Anyway, this is a WWE proposal, I think is the best way to put it. I mean, that was what it was. And it's, you know, it was one of the big moments of the show.
You see the fucking ring?
Oh,
Did you see the ring?
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit. I can't take credit for this tweet.
I saw.
Dude,
great
somebody
line.
tweeted,
Great line.
Damn, y'all thought The Rock wasn't going to be here tonight.
It was a great line. Yes, this was a gigantic
God.
ring.
He knew he was going to show...
Did he have that in his pocket the whole match?
I don't know.
Wow.
But he certainly knew that this would be in HD at WrestleMania.
Let's wrap up on the main event. It was The Undertaker and Roman Reigns. Jim Ross came out. It was great. Just for him to come out, I think everyone was standing, applauding for the guy. And the match, you know, some people are going to be critical of it. I think this was clear that this is it for The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Before any of the post-match stuff. Like, this guy definitely, in some way, he is held against the incredible matches he had over the last decade. He's held to a really high standard. And, I mean, realistically, like, his body is wrecked, and it was time to call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, the rumor came out several days ago during the week that this was going to be the main event, that Jim Ross would be involved, that this could very well be Taker's last match. My only question is, why wasn't the stipulation added? Why wasn't this kind of driven home in the build-up to it? And I can only imagine that it's because Taker himself wasn't completely 100% on the idea that this was going to be a retirement
Well, they may have
match.
felt much like that was the belief last year, was that could be his last match, and then he decided, I'm going to come back. So maybe
But
they didn't want to make a big deal out of it.
This needs to be the write-off, and I think this was, because this was quite final.
He can't come back.
Even if he wanted to come back, I don't think, as a fan of The Undertaker, I want to see another match like tonight's. Because I don't... Again, this also might have been a match that probably would have come across a lot better, obviously, with Jim Ross on commentary. But watching it live, all I could see was just awful blown spots. I mean, a man trying to lift a 50-year-old or 60-year-old man, trying to do that tombstone reversal spot that just turned into complete shit.
That was a mess.
Even the finish with the double, running of the ropes into the spear, it felt like a mess. So, the Undertaker he's overstayed his welcome. Certainly for a WrestleMania main event, the caliber is just way too high right now for him to be involved.
In some ways, I mean, it's fitting that you have a match like that it's at least... I didn't think this was horrible. It had moments in the match where it was definitely a rocky match. But, I mean, this crowd, I think enough of the audience knew what a loss meant, that it was probably it for The Undertaker, that they were just so invested in Taker. And what was funny was he went for the tombstone early, and no one bought this as a finish when Reigns kicked out anyway. And then he went for the Hell's Gate, and this place roared for that Hell's Gate. And it's incredible how over that submission is with Taker. And when he got near falls, they were clinging to hope that Taker would pull it out, and then Reigns finally got that match-ending spear, the super spear, and pinned him. And then afterwards, I mean, what will be remembered is the post-match where he left his hat, the gloves, and the jacket in the ring. And, yeah, I think going out on a match like that, there's not going to be any more, one more match. I think everyone saw that this was the end. They don't need to see any more. And it's kind of, the guy... What a storied career. I mean, this guy will be positioned as the legend of legends in the WWE. I mean, he will be to the level above what Andre is in folklore for decades to come, of how this company will position the Undertaker character.
Match quality aside, I will certainly say, the production surrounding the entrance to the close, I thought was handled perfectly. His pacing has always been wonderful. The visual of everything kind of being left in the ring was great. Him descending into the ramp was awesome. So production-wise, this was a home run, in my opinion.
Listen, this WrestleMania blew away last year's. I really did not like last year's show. This year, another thing that, I don't know if it was even on the broadcast or not, but after Taker left on the ramp, the entire stadium went dark. Almost as though you thought the power went out.
It was like a cut to black.
It was exactly. It was just, everything went black for 20 seconds, and it was unbelievable. I still really enjoyed this show. Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton aside, I think a very memorable WrestleMania. You got a lot of surprises. You got some really good wrestling. There wasn't that one match that was your match of the year, but you had a lot of really good matches. So I still give this a thumbs up as a whole.
I give it a huge thumbs up. And I'll honestly say, this, to me, was actually on track to be the best WrestleMania maybe ever for me. But I knew it wasn't going to be, because I knew the match quality the potential didn't look to be as strong. You weren't getting a Steamboat Savage. You weren't getting, even a TLC 2 or Shawn versus Undertaker.
I think expectations were measured going into this, and I think you got either at that level or above it.
But I'll say in terms of and again, it's so cliche to say moments. Oh, WrestleMania is about moments. Well, here, they definitely provided almost something in every match, Goldberg-Lesnar was awesome.
We didn't even talk about that.
Dude,
perfect. Perfect for what it needed to be.
It was booked perfectly, there was something interesting almost about every match. Even Naomi winning was like fucking awesome. So like,
and they were in an awful position, second from the top, and they got, when Naomi hit the rear view, they went nuts, and when she got the finish, it was a nice finish of her winning the title. So
it was a very thoroughly entertaining, very well produced, very good looking show.
Yeah.
So thumbs way up.
Yeah. So, and you know what? It was long. It didn't feel as long as last year's, and this was technically a longer show. So we both really enjoyed the show. So that was WrestleMania. Last thing before we go, I want to thank all the people who came out to the Barley and Vine Beer Garden. That was easily my highlight of the weekend. I was meeting all of you. It was just
hugging all of you.
I hugged a lot of people at the live podcast. So that'll be out this Friday. My voice is about done, Wai. So we will wrap this up. We have a flight in a few hours. We will be back Monday night following Raw in Orlando. The night after WrestleMania.
We will be doing Raw from back in Toronto. So
yes, we are back in Toronto. So we will chat with you Monday night, and thank you for following along all weekend long. Good night.